Do what you can't help doing. That's number one for me. A lot of people say do what you love. I think that's great, and that makes a lot of sense. For me, I would rephrase it. Do what you can't help doing. Like when I'm on a plane, I take out my laptop and I put on my earphones and I'm like making music on the plane like this. I have like a little keyboard that I'm like holding with my left hand and like playing keyboard, and like no person in their right mind would like make music like in that, like it's too, you don't have enough space. There's the hum from the air, like it doesn't work, but I can't help it. Like I just have to make music. If you do something that you have to do, you'll get through that 6-year period of flatlining. Right? Like there's no other way to get through that, right? If you're half-assing something, if you're doing something that's like kind of okay, but your heart's not really in it, you'll quit, you'll give up, right? Like you gotta do, the only way to get through that period is if you're fully devoted and you just keep taking swings. That's the way I think of it, is like every time I'm on an airplane making music, or like there's some other thing happening, or I'm crammed up in my studio, whatever, every time I'm taking a swing, it's another swing. And after every swing, I learn a little bit more, and I learn a little bit more, and then I put out the next video, and then I put out the next video.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Jack Conte, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, make it raw, not perfect.
Make it raw, not perfect. This was a really important lesson for me. Early on, I spent 6 months working on an album. It was 4 tracks. 6 months, I worked on 4 tracks. I polished and polished and polished and perfected and just did so much work on this record. I must have spent thousands and thousands of hours working on this record. This is like over a decade ago. And like nothing happened from that. Nobody cared about it. Like nobody cared. I remember it getting literally like 3 plays a day on MySpace. Then Pomplamoose uploaded a video in 24 hours once. Lady Gaga came out with a song called Telephone, and Natalie and I decided, okay, let's cover Telephone.
Stop calling, I don't wanna think anymore. I left my head and my heart.
And it was not perfect. It was raw, and it was just whatever we could do in 24 hours. That video now has 10 million views. And I keep learning that lesson over and over again. And I contrast that experience with like polishing this record for 6 months. It's still hard for me to like come to terms with that. The polish doesn't necessarily make it better. And in fact, a lot of times polish makes things worse. There's an element of that about like rock and roll. There's something about rock and roll and the rawness of it and the realness of it. Hearing somebody's voice crack and hearing somebody scream and hearing somebody be human, that just really attracts other human beings. Scary Pockets the other day, we recorded a track. We do live takes, like 6 people in a room pre-pandemic, recording funk music together. If you flub a note, it's in the recording. And in the middle, the singer forgot the lyric.
Try to fix you.
And instead of cutting, we just kept going. And we liked the take, so we put it out. We put out the take, and the singer laughed, and guess what all the YouTube comments were? Oh my God, that laugh was the most incredible things. It's so great to see real people making real music together. All the comments were about this one moment of rawness, this one moment of vulnerability.
Rule number 3, just make great stuff.
I thought CEOs knew how to do business and stuff, but after spending 3 years in Silicon Valley, I'm realizing that CEOs are actually just people who try really hard and like to solve problems and like to make great stuff. And in fact, it turns out that running a tech company is almost exactly the same thing as being a creator. Creators care endlessly about their fans. Tech companies care endlessly about their users. But if you know how to care endlessly, then it feels like the same thing. Creators like to make people's lives better with art. Tech companies like to make people's lives better with products. But it turns out if you like to just make great stuff, then making people's lives better with art and making people's lives better with products really feels like the same thing. The point is to just focus on making great stuff, because we're inundated in this world with monsters. Monsters that will try to steal your focus away from making great stuff. Monsters like social media strategy. Monsters like, well, that's not how professionals do it. Monsters like, you can increase your edge rank on Facebook by posting between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. when most of your fans are blah, 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 blah. All of these monsters will keep distracting you from making great stuff when really that's the secret. It's all you need to do. You don't have to know where you're going. You might make a video about a cat who likes to go surfing, and then the company that makes the surfboard might see it and call you and fly you out to Jamaica to shoot a documentary on a rare species of fish. And then while filming, you discover a microorganism and win a Nobel Prize and devote the rest of your life to the popularization of science through nonfiction writing and speaking tours. And while that might seem a little unlikely, it's not as unlikely as this guy running a tech company.
Rule number 4, adjust your packaging.
I say adjust your packaging, not your soul. 3 years after ruining my music at the Coho, Pamplemousse made a much smaller adjustment to our packaging that made all the difference. Today, Pamplemousse has about 150 million views on YouTube, but when we started publishing videos in 2008, we would get about 4,000 views on one video, 2,000 views on the next, nothing crazy. We were trying everything we could to grow. We even booked a show at a local laundromat that held 40 people called Brainwash Cafe. We weren't desperate, we were just trying everything we could, and one day I noticed something that kind of blew my mind. When you search for the Beatles on YouTube, when you search for the Beatles on YouTube, the first video that popped up was a gal named Julia Nunes. And the video was her cover of All My Loving. Keep in mind, it's 2009 at this point. It's the idea of search engine optimization as it relates to music, the idea of performing cover songs on YouTube. This was not a widespread phenomenon yet. But searching for the Beatles and finding Julia Nunes felt amazing to me. That's when we decided that the next Pamplemousse video would be a song that had a massive volume of search traffic. We had a hunch that Beyonce's Single Ladies would probably get some buzz at the VMAs. So a couple days before the awards show, Natalie and I recorded a cover. At the VMAs, Kanye West stole the microphone out of Taylor Swift's hands and said, "I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time." Do you guys remember that? So 2 things happened. First, the internet exploded. Second, everyone went onto their computers the next day and searched for Beyonce's Single Ladies, and it generated that spike in search traffic for that term. That's also precisely when Pamplemousse uploaded our cover, and in one night we got 500,000 hits on the video. A week later, when we showed up to play our show at the local laundromat, there were 200 people inside and 200 people outside waiting to see the show. But the truth is, nothing had changed. We were playing the same songs with the same singer, the same harmony, the same rhythms, the same voice leading, the same production, the same mixing, the same mastering, the same soul. We had made a slight adjustment in song choice. That's it, song choice. It had made all the difference. It felt incredible to me, like we had taken our music and put it in a blue box instead of a freaking red one, and it changed everything by just adjusting our packaging. And we didn't even have to take our musical soul and stomp all over it. We had limited the adjustment to the packaging around our music instead of the music itself.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, learn storytelling.
Learn about storytelling. It's an art and it's a craft. There are techniques, there are tips, tricks. You can read books about storytelling. There's a wonderful book called Story by Robert McKee. There's another wonderful book called On Directing Film by David Mamet. There's a great book by Keith Johnstone called Impro. These are all books about how to tell a story. If you can figure out how to build a narrative in your work, stories really catch people's attention. And humans love stories. I don't know why, but it's freaking true.
Rule number 6, work to publish.
Publishing is deciding to stop when you want to keep working, and it's super painful. And some people can't do it, and some people can. People like Freddie W. and Ella Fitzgerald and Zach Wienersmith and Rob Has a Podcast and Woody Allen and Hank Green and Peter Hollins and J.K. Rowling. So how do they finish so many things? They don't, but they publish them anyway. Publishing, though, is more than just a single decisive moment. It's more than just the art of identifying the point at which additional work yields diminishing marginal returns. For me now, publishing starts the instant I start recording a new song. Publishing, I found, works best if you think of it as a style of working. It's an attitude that persists throughout the entire creative process, from the moment you begin work to the moment you give it up to the world. Working to publish is about getting shit done the whole time. Your whole mentality shifts when you're working to publish. You focus on the stuff that matters and you ignore the stuff that doesn't. Even the fun stuff, the stuff that calls out to you and begs you to enjoy 30 minutes satisfying your obsessive desire to make something perfect that only you will notice. You write the next scene, you record the next instrument, you build the next set, you shoot the next take, you color the next frame, you design the next synth. Working to publish, it's selfless. It's outward focused. It's about results and giving back and contributing to the world. Working for pleasure, on the other hand, is how I used to spend most of my time working. It's inward focused. It's slow and enjoyable, but ultimately it's about giving to oneself. It's rooted in the ego. It's fixing details that you and only you care about. It's a luxurious self-indulgence. It's calm and it's a great way to unwind and relax, and it's freaking fun as heck, and there's a time and a place for working to publish, but like any luxury, I try my best to use it sparingly. I feel like a bit of a hypocrite here because working to publish is hard, and for me, it's more of a North Star than it is like a habit. It's a framework that I aspire to, not something that I'm great at or figured out.
Rule number 7, stay inspired and motivated.
I love metrics. I track them all the time. I run a freaking tech company. But if I lose sight of the why behind those metrics, creation and life itself can start to feel meaningless. But it isn't. I've noticed that at Patreon, if we don't celebrate and talk about our mission of getting creators paid all the time, our team starts to feel restless. The Patreon team, like a lot of teams in tech, use metrics and outcomes to set goals, which need to be clear and actionable to have any semblance of accountability in a 250-person organization. We use metrics like revenue and margin and adoption rates for new products, but metrics and outcomes are just a tool to help us collaborate effectively as a team. Patreon's mission is to fund the creative class, and if we don't pound the pavement and repeat and reiterate that mission ad nauseum, then we start to drift.
Rule number 8, visualize the future.
Visualize your future. Dream up the perfect year. Imagine it, dream it, visualize it. Like if you fast forward a year and you're looking back and you're just feeling so energized and fired up, why? Tell me about your year. Don't think too hard. Just write. Organize your thoughts later. What happened? What didn't happen? How many views, how many listens, how many fans did you get? What did you create? How did you collaborate with anyone? Did you collaborate with anyone? Who? What makes you feel proud of your work this year? What's your team like? How much money did you pay out to your team? How much money did you make as a creator? How much did you reinvest in your business? These are the kinds of questions I ask myself. And I'll just offer one thing about money here. I found that creators have a tendency to not want to talk about money, which I totally understand. I had that too as a creator. But as a creator, you're the CEO of your own business. And not thinking about money and not thinking about how much money you're going to make and how much you're going to spend, it will hurt you more than it will help you. Pop and Loose, we barely have net income. Like, I'm really proud that it's a profitable business and we manage it as a profitable business, but we're not amassing wealth. Like, that's not why we make music videos. Like, we treat money as a tool to create art.
Rule number 9, don't quit.
One piece of advice for creative people early on in their careers. It's the advice I give every time people ask me for advice, and it's never changed. It's been the same, it's been true for me. It's the advice I've taken for myself, and I think it's actually the same whether you're an artist or an entrepreneur or whatever it is. It's very simple. Don't quit. Don't quit. Just keep going. Keep trying new things. It doesn't mean keep trying the same thing over and over again. You can get yourself into a big black hole by doing that. But try more things. If what you're doing isn't working, adjust, try again. I've played as a musician. I went on 4 tours in 2007, 4 tours, and sold no tickets. Played to, bars, and in one of the bars I played, there was nobody there, and I mean 0 people. The number 0 were there, and the bartender left halfway through my set, and the room was empty. And I was playing this 500-person room on stage by myself. And it's very easy to walk away from something like that and be like, this, I hate music, I'm done, this sucks. And I think most people quit at that point. Most people have an experience like that and they're like, I'm not getting resonance, I'm beating my head against the wall, I'm out. And most people don't know. They never know that they were 2 months away, 3 years away, 5 years away from making that thing that resonates with so many people. And instead of just getting through that gap, they quit. And my advice to creative people or entrepreneurs or whoever it is just don't quit. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is not quit, and you'll get through that gap.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is have fun.
Nothing works. I'm going to talk about all the things that don't work. Since I was a kid, pretty much everything I've ever done has been a complete trash fire of a failure. And actually, that's not even true because most trash fires are like at least spectacular. My failures were not. They were very ignorable and small and irrelevant. Like, I have a box of thousands of CDs in my garage. I have probably 12 boxes of like 200 CDs each. It's like a reminder of all the albums that I made that I didn't sell. I tried to invent camera gear that literally just died and went absolutely nowhere. I've mixed whole albums and then not released them because I was 2 years in and just so done with the project at that point and just never released it. I've basically had miss after miss after miss after miss in my life, freckled on occasion with like a spark of something that feels really good and awesome, followed by more misses over and over again. And this is really the truth. This is like the norm, and it's not even the norm, I think, for being an artist. It's the norm for being a human freaking being. And yet when we go onto YouTube, we go to the movies, we hear stories of this like one instant, this snowflake of a moment where like everything clicks and feels awesome, and that so I'd prefer to hear a talk instead about that stuff, because this is the grind, right? This is like the real truth of being a person and being an artist. Those are the moments where I've grown and I've learned and I've face planted. And so these days I find myself gravitating less towards stories of like a random outlying success and more towards stories of exactly how to deal with the never-ending barrage of the human experience. It's this stuff. It's like the day after day after day, because that's most of life. And so that's what this talk is about, because at the end of the day, nothing works. Including the current style of this talk. While it is super fun to sync up a slide every 6 words with new explanatory images, this presentation is already 45 slides, and I've already been talking for 105 seconds, which is a little faster than a new slide every 3 seconds. And at that rate, I'd need 771 slides to talk for 30 minutes. And meanwhile, my calendar is a total trash fire, and my email is a total trash fire, and I don't have time to do this, so it's another bad idea. But what do you expect? Because nothing works. So, okay, actually, I am going to stop doing that now, and I'm going to... like literally. One of the earliest investors in Patreon, Sar Gur, told me a story. He said, Jack, I saw this video that you made, or it's a making of video for your robot music video. And I saw you pour your savings account into this video. I saw you invest in something that you believed in. And I saw a person who was willing to go to the ends of the earth to accomplish their dreams and to accomplish their vision. And when I saw that, I didn't need to see the financials of Patreon. I didn't need to see the cohorts. I didn't need to see the metrics. I saw a person who would do anything to make it work. And that's why I decided to invest. When Sar told me that, it made me remember why Pamplemousse did that tour in the first place, and why we wrote the article about it, and why I made the music video that he saw, and why I started Patreon. I did those things because I do go all in on stuff. I am the kind of person who gets really excited about something and then goes for it. And I don't want to change that about myself. I like that about myself. And I realize that sometimes from the outside, that can look reckless. And yeah, sometimes it leads to flops, but sometimes it works. And to me, that makes it worth it.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below, on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. To see the top 10 we did on Mark Laurie, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I failed so many times as a kid, whether it be academically or otherwise, that I was so comfortable with failing that it was not even a concept. It just meant that, combined with just being chill